My name is Charlotte, Charlie Winslow, 34, cardiac trauma nurse at St. Vincent's in Portland. For 4 years, I was the backbone of someone else's family. Not mine, his. Damon's. I worked nights, weekends, holidays. I paid the bills, cooked the meals, held the hand of his ailing mother while she sneered at my clothes. His sister moved in for a few weeks and stayed for over a year. No job, no rent, no thanks. They called me the dependable one. Dependable meant invisible. I should have seen the signs. Damon stopped waiting up for me. His mother stopped pretending she was grateful. And Savannah, his sister, started getting mail in my name. That one I clocked. A bank envelope with my name spelled wrong. That's not a typo. That's a trail. But none of that mattered the night my supervisor pulled me off shift early. Fever. Chest tight. I left the hospital before midnight, unheard of, and didn't call ahead. Something told me not to. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. Damon's truck was there. So was Savannah's beat-up Buick. I moved quietly. Key turned. Door eased open. The kind of silence you learn in trauma units, when one wrong move means everything. Light under the kitchen door. Voices. Laughter. No one heard me come in. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but when you hear your name, "She doesn't suspect a thing," Savannah said, giggling. Charlie's too busy saving lives to notice her ounce being auctioned off. My blood went cold. I stayed still. 3 more weeks, Damon said. The title clears. After that, she can cry all she wants. Cry about what? The kitchen floor creaked. I stepped back into shadow. Hope she doesn't check the mailbox, Savannah muttered. She won't. She never does. There was a beat of silence. Then laughter. You really forged her signature? Savannah. A pause. Then, quietly from Damon, didn't have a choice. The bank needed a cosigner. And Charlie's W-2s are clean. I tasted bile. You realize if she finds out. She won't, he snapped. She's not that kind of woman. I am. The next morning I called in sick. Then I called a lawyer. I didn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table with a bottle of water and a stack of old utility bills, pretending everything was fine. Pretending I hadn't just heard my husband admit to committing fraud in my name. People don't change, my father used to say. They just get better at hiding who they are. He was right. But the worst part? It wasn't just the betrayal. It was how comfortable they sounded. Like this was always the plan. Like I was never really family. A wind slammed against the window. I jumped. I wasn't being paranoid. I was being watched. My laptop buzzed. An anonymous email. Subject, you need to see this. Body, click the link. It's about Damon. I clicked. The screen blinked. Then a video loaded. Hidden camera. Damon. In our bedroom. Pulling a folder from behind the dresser. My signature. My name. My future. Stolen. I didn't know who sent it. But I knew where I was going next. To the bank. The bank smelled like disinfectant and distrust. I wore my cleanest scrubs, hair still wet from the morning shower. My ID badge clipped on. Uniform buys silence. The woman behind the glass called me ma'am, and smiled like I hadn't just walked into hell. Hi, I need to speak to someone about a pending title transfer. My name is Charlotte Winslow. It's my house. Click-clack of the keyboard. Is this regarding the transfer to the Rilke Trust? That was the first time I heard it said aloud. I nodded. The banker frowned, leaned closer. Your name is on the title, but you're not listed as a trustee. Are you contesting the transfer? I'm saying I never approved it. Silence. She excused herself, stepped into a back room. Frosted glass swallowed her. 1 minute. 2. 3. I could see the office lights flickering behind the door. Movement. Shadows. Someone pacing. I gripped the strap of my purse tighter. My phone buzzed. Blocked number. No message. A woman in a blue blazer returned instead. She looked like someone who'd practiced smiling in mirrors. I'm sorry, but we'll need you to make an official request in writing. If there's suspected fraud, you'll need to file with law enforcement. I already had, just not yet. Can you show me the signature on the transfer? She hesitated. That's legally protected, unless you're part of the initiating party. I leaned forward. My name's on the damn deed. Her eyes shifted. Click. Print. A sheet came out. She turned it toward me. And there it was. My name. My handwriting. Except it wasn't mine. I don't curl my W like that. Damon does. He used to joke he could forge my signature better than me. Apparently he wasn't joking. Outside, the wind howled against the glass. Inside, I was breaking in pieces, so small they couldn't even cut back. Thank you, I said. You've been helpful. Cut to black. Home again. Empty living room. Kitchen untouched. Coffee pot cold. I opened the junk drawer. Paper clips. Flashlight. Envelopes. Nothing. Next, the coat closet. Nothing. Garage. Locked. But then, under the dining table leg, taped with worn electrical tape, something. A USB stick. Plain. No label. Damon doesn't know I know his habits. He hides things in straight lines. Clean. Centered. I grabbed my laptop. Inserted it. Folder popped open. / operation_ghost. No sound. No opening animation. Just static silence. Files appeared. 2022_bridge_fund_agreement.pdf. Witness_relocation_docs. Zip. Statement_subus_forged.pdf. Audio 001.wave. My name was all over them. CW, Charlotte Winslow. Or maybe something else. I opened the PDF. It was a scanned image of a notarized letter. Subject, recommendation for guardian signature substitution, CW. Date, September 4th, 2023. I never signed that. Never saw that. But someone did. My heartbeat skipped. Audio 001.wave loaded. Click. Static. Then. Voices. Muffled. Filtered. And then. Damon. She's too tired to notice anything. I'll handle the paperwork. Savannah, you said that last time. Goldie, if she ruins this, we're all screwed. The sound of a glass breaking. Another voice. Deeper. I didn't recognize it. She'll be gone before she knows what happened. The file ended. My screen froze. The lights flickered. And then I heard it. A soft knock. At the back door. 3 taps. Pause. 3 again. Heartbeat rising. I stepped into the hallway, barefoot on cold tile. Shadows, stretching long under the doorframe. Another buzz. Phone again. Text from unknown. Stop looking if you value your life. I backed away slowly. No one kills you for asking the wrong questions, someone once told me. They kill you for asking the right ones too loud. A car engine revved outside. Curtains fluttered. But when I looked, no one was there. I opened the door anyway. Nothing but wind. Then I looked down. A single sheet of paper taped to the porch rail. Sharpe. All caps. Who do you think signed first? Then the drive blinked, and a single file opened itself. Evidence.pdf. I clicked open evidence.pdf. Another scan. Another signature. Except this time it wasn't mine. It was my mother's. The date was 10 months before she died. And the document, a special power of attorney, granting Damon control over her estate if anything happened to me. I stared at the screen like it was a lie that could burn away if I blinked hard enough. My mother didn't trust anyone with her money. Not even me. She kept everything in handwritten ledgers, locked in an old cedar box under the floorboards of the cabin in Tillamook. I hadn't been there in years, but Damon had. He used to go up there to clear his head. I heard his voice again in my mind, soft laughing. Sometimes the only way out is through someone else's door. I shut the laptop, grabbed my keys. Wind howled off Highway 6. The forest swallowed the road fast. Trees pressed in on both sides like closing hands. I hadn't been here since the funeral. The key still worked. Door creaked open. The cabin smelled like pine and mold. Cold air. Silence. No footsteps behind me. Yet I still looked back. A paranoia shaped like instinct. I moved to the back room. Pulled back the rug. Lifted the board. There. The cedar box. Inside. Dried receipts, old photos, handwritten bank records. And a sealed envelope marked, "If Charlie ever needs to know." I tore it open. Inside, 3 things. A letter, a flash drive, and a folded newspaper clipping from 1991. Missing girl Margaret Rilke vanished from foster home in Klamath Falls. Case remains unsolved. The photo was black and white, blurry, but the eyes? They belonged to Goldie. She'd changed her name, buried her past like rotting bones beneath the house. My fingers shook. I clicked on the flash drive. A new folder, redacted _ File 01, she'll never know. Just keep her working. File 02. If she talks, we say it was exhaustion. Stress. She's a nurse. Who'd question that? File 03, silence. Then, the girl's name was never Margaret. That wasn't even the first one. I froze. Not just real estate fraud. Not just forged documents. Something darker. Something layered. Goldie hadn't just stolen from me. She'd been running from something for decades. And now she had an alias, a house in my name, and a husband dumb or cruel enough to help her bury more. My phone buzzed. Unknown caller. I didn't answer. Instead, I turned toward the front window and saw headlights. Slow. Deliberate. Creeping up the path. I killed the lights. Dropped to the floor. Beneath the window, I could see boots step out. A man. Broad. Heavy gait. He circled the cabin. Paused by the truck. Lifted something. Flashlight? Gun? Then a knock. 3 taps on the back door. I crawled to the kitchen. Grabbed a rusted camping axe from under the sink. Crouched. Waited. No second knock. Just footsteps. Back, toward the front. Then gone. I waited 10 minutes. Nothing. I slipped out the back and ran into the trees. Didn't breathe until I reached the trailhead. Inside the truck, I locked the doors and peeled out. Tires screamed against wet gravel. I didn't stop until I hit the edge of town. I pulled into a Walmart parking lot, heart punching my ribs. Then I called the only person I trusted more than myself. Adrian Kepler, a former private investigator, my mother's best friend. Quiet, dangerous in a way that didn't ask permission. She answered on the second ring. "I was wondering when you'd find the box," she said. "How long have you known?" "Long enough to know what you're dealing with isn't just fraud, Charlie. It's survival strategy, theirs." "Whose?" "Everyone under that roof, including the one you married." I looked down at my knuckles. Wait. Then it's time I stopped surviving. "Good," she said, "because there's more, and you're not going to like what's next." I closed my eyes. "Tell me anyway." She paused. Then, Goldie used to be in witness protection, but she left the program in '99, right after another girl disappeared. The call cut. Deadline. My phone buzzed again. Another email. Subject line. Do not trust Adrian. Attached, a surveillance photo. Me. At the cabin. Taken tonight. And Adrian. Standing behind me. Watching. But I never saw her there. I didn't go home. Home wasn't safe anymore. Home was a glass box with my fingerprints all over it. I parked under the flickering lights of a 24-hour car wash on Burnside. Steam rose. Water roared. White noise thick enough to drown thought. I sat in the driver's seat, hands locked on the wheel, staring at the envelope I'd pulled from my mother's cedar box. The paper was old, the kind that yellows slowly like it's waiting for permission to disappear. If Charlie ever needs to know. I opened it with shaking fingers. My mother's handwriting. Tight. Precise. The way she wrote when she was scared but refused to show it. Charlie, if you're reading this, then I failed to stop what I tried to bury. I need you to understand something before anyone else lies to you. I swallowed. Goldie Rilke is not who she says she is. That name died once already. The car wash lights pulsed red, blue, red. Like sirens. Like a warning. Years ago, I helped a man who thought he was protecting a witness. He was wrong. She wasn't hiding from danger. She was the danger. When the case reopened, I knew I wouldn't have time. That's why I moved everything to the cabin. That's why I trusted you with nothing. Silence was the only shield I had left. I pressed my fist to my mouth. She'd been protecting me by keeping me blind. Another page slid out. A list of dates, names, counties, Oregon, California, Nevada, and one final line underlined twice. If they come for you, Charlie, don't run to the police first. Run to the truth. People like to say the dead don't talk. That's a lie. The dead whisper. And if you listen, they ruin your sleep forever. I started the car. I drove north, out of the city, toward Tillamook Forest again. I told myself it was stupid. I told myself fear sharpens lies and dulls reason. I told myself another thing my mother used to say. If you want answers, go where the lies were planted. Fog rolled in thick as cotton. Trees bent overhead. The road narrowed. No signal. I parked with the headlights off. The cabin crouched in the dark like it remembered me. I stepped inside. Something was wrong. The cedar box was gone. The floorboard lifted. Empty space. Dust disturbed. Someone had beaten me here. I backed toward the door. That's when I smelled it. Gasoline. A sharp click. The sound of a lighter. Charlie, a voice said from the shadows. Not Damon. Older. Female. Goldie. You should have stayed tired, she said. Tired people don't ask questions. I ran. Out the back. Into the trees. Branches whipped my face. Breath burned. Behind me, footsteps. Fast. A beam of light cut through the fog. I slipped. Fell hard. Mud in my mouth. I rolled just as something shattered where my head had been. A gunshot. The sound cracked the forest open. I scrambled up and kept running. Every instinct screamed the same thing. She's done this before. I burst onto the trail, lungs screaming, and dove into the ravine. Leaves swallowed me. I stayed still, silent. Footsteps passed, stopped, listened. Then sirens, distant, growing. Someone cursed. Footsteps retreated. I didn't move for 5 minutes. 10. When I crawled out, the cabin was burning. Orange light clawed at the trees. Smoke twisted into the sky like a signal flare. I watched everything my mother had turned to ash. I didn't cry. Shock freezes tears first. Adrian met me at a diner just outside town. Yellow booths. Coffee too strong. Windows fogged. You weren't supposed to go back, she said. You weren't supposed to be in that photo, I shot back. She didn't flinch. I was watching the place, because I knew someone else would come. Goldie tried to kill me. Adrian nodded once. She's escalated before. You said witness protection. Adrian leaned in. She manipulated her way into it. Claimed to be running from an abusive partner. The truth is the partner disappeared, along with a girl in her care. My stomach turned. She's been moving houses, names, families, Adrian continued. Your husband wasn't her first shield, just the most useful. I stared at the steam rising from my coffee. So what am I? I asked. Adrian's voice softened. The mistake. I laughed. Short. Broken. Figures. She slid something across the table. A copy of a will. My mother's. Everything, house, savings, land, left to me. Filed. Legal. Uncontested. They were trying to steal something they never owned, Adrian said. And now they're panicking. My phone buzzed. A voicemail. Damon. Charlie, he said, voice shaking. Something's wrong. Mom says you broke in. The cabin's on fire. You need to come home. Now. Adrian watched my face change. They're closing ranks, she said. That's when they get dangerous. I stood up. I'm done running, I said. If the truth is a weapon, I'm done holding it wrong. Outside, the night pressed close. And for the first time, I understood the shape of what I was fighting. They'd killed before, and they were about to try again. The diner was empty. Just the three of us and the hum of a faulty neon sign outside. Coffee tasted like regret. Adrian slid the will across the table. It's legit, she said. Filed with Clackamas County. Witnessed. Notarized. Your mother planned this. I blinked. That should have felt like victory. It didn't, because Goldie burned the cabin. And if home could go up in flames, what couldn't? Adrian said something quiet. Truth is a weapon. Trouble is, most people don't know how to aim. My phone buzzed again. A text. Check your mailbox. I didn't want to, but I had to. Outside, wind clawed at my coat. Rain slapped my face. Perfect weather for secrets. I opened the mailbox. A thick envelope sat there. No return address. I tore it open. Inside, photos. Not old ones. New. Taken at the diner. Adrian and me. Adrian looking too composed. Too aware. Like she knew the camera was there. A chill slid down my spine. I dropped the photos. My phone lit up again. Another message. Don't trust Adrian. I froze. Sometimes, I muttered to myself, the people with the best advice are the ones hiding the worst motives. That wasn't my mother's voice this time. That was me. I turned. Adrian was standing near the counter, eyes on me. She didn't speak, just nodded once. Car's running, she said. Come on. I followed. Usually, when someone says come on in a thriller, someone gets hurt. But I had bigger concerns. In the parking lot, my truck. Broken glass. Shards on asphalt. I walked faster. No one breaks a window without a reason, Adrian said behind me. I didn't answer. My eyes were fixed on the weathered piece of metal stuck in the door. A key. Not mine. Not one I owned. I crouched and touched it. It was warm. Someone had left it there recently. There was a car pulling up behind us. Slow. Intentional. Black. No lights. Adrian swore under her breath. Get in, she said. I hesitated. Minutes stretched. Then I moved. We drove. Not fast. Too worrying. Slow speed makes tension thicker. A sign flashed. AMC parking exit 5 miles. I glanced out the window. Empty roads. Isolated. Adrian glanced at me. You think I set this up? I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she said coldly, you're a target now, not a witness. That should have scared me more. But I was already shaking. I remembered something my father used to say. Trust is a loaded gun. Most people just don't know when it's pointed at them. The rain pressed against the windshield. Everything looked blurred. We stopped at a red light. A black SUV pulled up beside us. Tinted windows. Then the passenger window cracked. Bullet hole. Glass spiderwebbed. I gasped. Adrian slammed the car in reverse. Tires screeched. We sped off. The SUV followed. Close. Too close. I looked back. 3 figures visible. No sirens. No hesitation. This wasn't random. This was planned. Adrian swore again. Take the next left, she barked. I did. Left onto a service road. Mud sprayed. headlights whipping. The SUV kept pace. Faster. Closer. Then the road split. A narrow bridge ahead. Water on both sides. No turning back. I glanced at Adrian. What now? I choked out. She didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on the road. Then, another text. On my locked screen. 3 words. Look behind you. My breath hitched. I shifted in my seat. Out the rear window. The SUV. Right there. Headlights blinding. I turned back to Adrian. She was pale. Hunched. As if she already knew what was coming. Then I saw it. In her hand. Something metallic. Not a phone. A gun. My heart stopped. You're on your own, she said. Not a question. A statement. The bridge loomed ahead. Water roared beneath. No escape. I slammed the door. Stepped out. Rain drenched me instantly. Cold bit. The SUV skidded to a halt. Doors opening. Footsteps approaching. Heavy. Purposeful. I raised my hands. Not sure what I expected. Not sure what I thought would save me. But I knew one thing. Trust was lethal. And I just pointed it at myself. The night closed in. And somewhere in the darkness, Goldie was smiling. The courtroom was packed. Cameras flashed. Faces pressed against glass. I felt like prey in a glass cage. I stood at the witness stand. Heart pounding. Words ready to fire. State your name, the prosecutor said. I took a breath. Charlotte Winslow. Short. Sharp. True. The evidence was laid bare. Forged signatures, manipulated files, burning of evidence, and a lifetime of deception engineered by Goldie and a network of facilitators spanning 3 states. Damon, gaunt and hollow-eyed, stared at me through the haze of flashbulbs. His lips moved. No sound. Just guilt. Goldie sat next to him, face painted with fury and fear. They weren't just losing control, they were unraveling. I remembered something my mother wrote once. Truth only hurts those who hide from it. Everything surged back. The judge called the court to order. A hush washed through the room like a wave breaking on a shore made of glass. The prosecutor spoke with precision. The defendant, Marigold Rilke, formerly known as Margaret, knowingly falsified legal documents, conspired to commit financial fraud, and obstructed justice. Gasps fluttered like moths. Goldie flinched. Paper rustled. I watched every tick of the clock, seconds smaller than nails dragging on metal. Then came the moment nobody in the room expected. A voice from the back. Adrian stood. She walked toward the jury box. All of this ties to more than forged titles, she said. I discovered files in federal databases. Case numbers that match a string of unsolved disappearances. Names buried in sealed records, linked to Rilke. The room shifted. Another twist. The judge's gavel hit like thunder. Someone in the gallery gasped. Someone cried. Someone turned away. The media frenzy exploded. Reporters scrambled. Phones recorded. The sound was a tidal wave of white noise. I didn't look back. I looked forward. Then came the defense. Damon's lawyer rose, shaky, defeated, desperate. He was manipulated, the attorney said. He is not culpable. He acted out of fear. Fear. Not an excuse. Just a word. The jury deliberated. Hours stretched like shadows at dusk. Then the verdict. Guilty on all counts. Goldie's face contorted. Tears streaming. A crown of her own making bursting into shards. Damon stood slack-jawed. Disbelief carved into his features. I felt nothing. Not triumph. Not relief. Just clarity. Outside the courthouse, helicopters whined overhead. Reporters barked questions. But a new quiet had settled inside me. It was distant, tense, final. Weeks later, I stood on the balcony of the house I'd reclaimed legally, officially, the one my mother had willed to me before she died. Rain pattered against the glass. Windows framed a gray sky. The house was mine now. No smoke. No secrets. No hollow walls hiding sins. I made coffee. Strong. Black. Like survival tastes. Adrian sat across from me. "We did it," she said. No exclamation. Just fact. "Yeah," I whispered. I thought about motherhood. About legacy. About what it means to leave truth instead of rubble. My mother once wrote, "Courage is not absence of fear. It's the choice to stand when shaking." I felt her there, in the steam that rose from the cup, in the quiet that wasn't quiet, in the rooms that weren't hollow anymore. I walked through the house, kitchen, hallways, living room, empty spaces that once drowned me in denial. At the front door I hesitated, then placed my hand on the glass. It reflected a face that wasn't broken, just repaired, just real. I walked outside. The wind tugged at me like an invitation. Across the street, a little girl skipped in ankle boots, eyes curious. I smiled, not because life was perfect, but because life wasn't done with surprises. Because survival isn't crossing a finish line. It's waking up to a future you carve with your own hands. I stood beneath the gray sky. A car passed, kicking up splashes. Some days the water rises. Some days you stand in it. A neighbor waved, cautious, respectful, real. I nodded, then turned back to the house. No echoes now. Just sunlight, settling onto glass and stone. I breathed in deep. A future waiting. And I walked toward it. Not running. Steady. Whole.